Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers. James and Justin back again with another reaction, and in this one we're taking a look at part 2 of the Bhagavad Gita made easy by Dharma Speaks. So let's dive in.
So far, Arjuna has been struggling to digest what Krishna has been saying. The task of restraining the senses, detaching from the world and stilling the mind seems like a mountain too tall to climb. Now, Krishna turns Arjuna's attention away from the Atman to himself as the supreme lord of all creation. This creation is part of Krishna's lower nature and is made up of the 5 elements: earth, fire, water, air and space. Not only that, our minds, intellects and even our egos are part of this creation. But the jivas or souls are different. They are not material but spiritual. They are part of Krishna's higher nature. But as Krishna points out, while these two groups are part of him, they do not bind him. There is nothing superior to me, Dhananjaya. As jewels are strung on their thread, so this whole world is strung upon me. The world and souls depend on Krishna like the pearls on a thread, but he is utterly transcendent. Just like the thread is unseen and provides an order to the universe, Krishna too cannot be perceived directly, but he still provides the natural order of life. Planets orbit stars, seasons change, our body functions. There is an unseen force that makes things happen. He is the heat in fire, the intelligence of the intelligent. But this material world, or Maya, binds our souls and keeps us in ignorance. This divine Maya of mind, consisting of the 3 gunas, is difficult to go beyond, but those who surrender to me alone cross beyond this Maya. There are 3 qualities which dictate this material reality: Sattva, that of goodness; Rajas, the mode of passion; and Tamas, the mode of ignorance. Everything in creation is influenced by the varying combination of these qualities. Like a man drowning in the ocean, we too are victim of this Maya made up of the gunas.
I like that it said ignorance rather than evil, because I think that's like a distinguishing point, because it could have said goodness on one side and then evil on the other side and then passion on the in the middle, like what you did, but it said ignorance versus evil, because I think all the isn't this like one of the big things within spirituality is that the bad things that happen to us are simply out of ignorance. They're not because of an actual evil force. People do evil things because of ignorance.
Of course. Well, even, when Jesus was on the cross, he looked down and he said, forgive them. Well, after they tried to humiliate him and beat him up, he said, forgive them, they know not what they do. But let me ask you something. Are you evil?
Yes.
You're evil. Right. Well, correct. Are you good?
Yes.
That's fair enough.
Yes.
A lot of us are good and evil, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's not that they say ignorance rather than evil. It's like, what's one of the characteristics of evil? It's ignorant.
Yeah.
One of the characteristics of evil is it, claws outward into the darkness blindfolded.
Yeah.
It does not know
Yeah.
its own nature.
Yeah. We all have our ignorant blind spots.
Yeah. And from this dark, vicious, biting, slithering nature, we burst forth towards whatever good is, whatever that is, as we slowly discover it as we go.
But what is the way out? Krishna states that it is by surrender to him that we can be rescued and brought to freedom. But people turn to Krishna for different reasons. Some because they are in distress, others for material benefits, some to seek spiritual knowledge, and those because they know the truth of Krishna. It is this last kind of devotee that is the dearest of all. He sees beyond this Maya and realizes Vasudevaha Sarvam, that there is nothing but Krishna. But those who do not have the real intelligence or sincerity instead focus their attention on lesser deities who grant limited worldly benefits. Ignorant of the truth, they forget that even these deities gain their power and authority from Krishna. But why do people fail to see Krishna as the supreme? I am not manifest to all because I am concealed by my Yoga Maya. This deluded world does not comprehend me, the one who is unborn and unfading. The point is that Krishna's true nature lies hidden beyond his Yoga Maya or power of illusion. To those who have not turned to him, the true glory of his divinity remains a mystery. In the next chapter, Krishna explains to Arjuna that the destination one attains after death is dependent on one's final thoughts. But the last thought at death is not in our hands, but is dictated by our state of consciousness. In other words, our final thought is a reflection of whatever we have been absorbed in. If God has been the goal of our life, then our last thought will inevitably be upon Him, and we will reach His abode. This abode is akshara, or imperishable, and is sought after by all the yogis.
Ooh, very interesting. That your last thoughts play some critical role in your transition from life to death. Because, you know, we come from a heavily Christian culture over here. Yeah. And how many times you hear like, and that morning before she passed, Jesus came in and said goodbye. Stuff like that happens. And you got to imagine in other culture, it's like the morning before they passed, you know, they had a vision of Krishna or something, or Buddha.
Or Allah or whatever,
Or Allah or Muhammad, you know. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
This material world, on the other hand, is temporary and one of suffering. Krishna points out that a true spiritual aspirant sees that nothing in the world lasts. However much we have, death is certain, and even after death, there is no freedom. Instead, we are forced to go to the other planes of existence in the cosmos. Lord Brahma, the god of creation, resides in the highest abode in this universe. But even if we reach here, one is still compelled by karma to return birth after birth. Every time Lord Brahma awakes and sleeps, endless creative cycles occur where souls are brought out into the world and then withdrawn. Every day and night of Brahma lasts millions of years. In the process, we go through endless births and deaths. We are hopelessly caught in this cosmic drama. But how do we break free and attain the permanent abode of God? Yogis, following certain timings in the Vedic scriptures, attempt to do this by leaving their body in the right way and at the right time. They perform intense, vigorous practice. But the devotee who
Oh man, what do you think of that? What do you think of the geometry of spirituality and the, you know, when I say geometry, I mean like even the idea of like, what do you think of this idea that there's like a thing you can do that will unlock a dimension for you, or that there's, you know, if I go on the specific, if I say the right recitation, or if I behave a certain way, it has an effect in the spiritual realm?
My most honest answer to that would be I don't know. That's the most I gotta be honest.
What is your intuition?
My intuition tells me that we don't know exactly what is beyond, and when you die, I don't know. I don't remember what it was like before I was born, and I imagine it might be something like that after.
But like I kind of zoned out there, so bear with me here. But I was looking at it, and I just caught the last couple of things the guy was saying. I'm just trying to be honest. Yeah. And they were saying like they set it up so that at the precise moment they die, they did everything right, and it all lines up perfectly.
I hope that does work out. I hope it is that way.
I'm not even judging it like that. I'm saying intuitively, if I was a heavily scientific person, I'd say like that's hella not science. Like it's hella not scientific.
Would it be? Well, have they done studies on people who like?
Just bear with me, okay? I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying I don't even believe there's something to it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if I was in a scientific culture, you know, where I was obsessed with measurements in a very material, provable, repeatable way, and somebody was like, "Well, hang on a sec. I've got to do these like, you know, coveted practices. I have to do these rituals so that when I pass on, I go to a specific place." I would imagine if I was deeply scientific that I'd be like, I don't buy that. You know, that's why I'm not doing it. That's why I'm not.
But the Hindu culture would say that they are heavily scientific.
I know. I'm saying I tend to think if you're open-minded, if you can grasp open-mindedness but I you know, let's get down to brass tacks here. Yeah. If you suspend your logic, if you suspend the scientific part of your brain, if you suspend all that stuff, maybe it is possible that all kinds of things are possible.
Yeah.
But if it is possible that certain practices line it up and make that possible, why isn't it also possible that if I, you know, do a specific thing with my hands, I can do all kinds of cool stuff just because I decided it to? Yeah. That's how open-minded I am. I'm dealing with energies. So let me get your energies in check. You know, I'm talking to somebody right through the screen. Why isn't that also possible? You have to all of a sudden lean back on your logic mind and go, because you're making that up right now and these are ancient in nature, that's why. Well, isn't that logic again? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen someone float? Have you ever seen somebody walk through solid matter?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody grow a limb back? Yeah. With your own eyes, not stories.
Yes.
So I'm just playing with right now everybody's capacity to be open-minded, and also everybody trying to extract honesty when it comes to the experience of things.
Yeah. I would think that a lot of the practices, like everything in life, would have started from an idea or someone doing something and it catching popularity and other people doing it and then passing it down and telling other people. And that's why I imagine that, like, say, like where it gets all the way to a point of like, well, if that's the practice, then I'm gonna do it the most. I'll be the guy that did it the most. And then it's like more and more people doing it. And, you know, that's how it just passes down.
You know what a tie is? You ever heard of a necktie?
Yeah.
A tiny scarf that does nothing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't be caught dead in certain places. Where's your tiny scarf that does nothing? What the hell? You know, I got an extra tiny scarf.
Yeah.
That started with a guy and got out of control, and it does not make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's not like an efficient clothing item. You know, maybe if you needed to, like, you know, tie something together at some point. But
yeah. But anyway, let's continue on.
Longs incessantly for Krishna, doesn't bother with such practices, and finds it easy to be liberated because he relies on Krishna. Chapter 9 expands further on the power of devotion. Those who are wise see the truth of Krishna and fix their minds on him with love. Some take vows, singing his praises and performing acts of worship. Others contemplate upon him with wisdom. Krishna makes clear his inconceivable nature is alive and available in the subtlest and most profound way. But because we are governed by our mind and senses, his glory is hidden. Only those who have surrendered to him can reach him. Krishna states, devotees of the gods go to the gods. Devotees of the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship spirits go to the spirits. But those who worship me go to me. Like in the previous chapter, Krishna makes clear that what we focus on and absorb ourselves in will decide where we reach after death. Those who are materialistic will go to the devas. Those who are attached to family will go to them. Those who indulge in occult practices will reach the spirits, but devotees who worship Krishna will go to him. When offered with a mood of devotion, I will accept a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water from one who is pure at heart. To attain Krishna, one doesn't require ostentatious offerings, extensive knowledge, or harsh austerity. All one needs is simplicity, purity, and sincerity of heart. It is love that moves Krishna to respond. Krishna calls for his devotees to make every act they perform an offering of this love. Previously, Arjuna had heard of how to perform karma yoga by trying to detach and restrain the senses. Now he hears of a karma yoga which is suffused with devotion. It is a practice filled with deep longing for God, a practice that destroys all karmic consequences. This way of devotion is so strong that it captures and transforms the heart, so much so that the worst of sinners can be transformed. As a result, Krishna urges Arjuna in his distressed condition to dedicate himself completely. Fix your mind on me, become my devotee, worship me and bow down to me. By engaging yourself in such acts and dedicating yourself to me, you will surely come to me. In whatever situation we are in, however we are, if we absorb our being in Krishna, we will reach him. To those who engage constantly in such practices, worshipping in a mood of love, I give that yoga of understanding by means of which they can come to me. In chapter 10, Krishna explains that on the bhakti path, wisdom is not gained through self-effort, it is given by Krishna as an act of grace. Those who are forever contemplating upon him are gifted with the inner spiritual knowledge of how to attain him. But even more than this, Krishna states that from within the very heart of his devotee where he resides, he will lift the lamp of blazing knowledge and destroy the darkness of ignorance. Krishna is not only the supreme person on whom the whole cosmos rests, he is the indweller within each and every living being. Having heard the truth of Krishna as the Supreme Lord, Arjuna is overcome with joy and awe, but at the same time, Arjuna is not satisfied.
I'm not judging neckties. I'm not judging them.
Back on neckties.
No, just in case somebody thought, you're wearing a scarf. That was not the point of what I was saying. For whoever was stuck thinking about that.
What was your point?
That's it. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that that's not me going, so therefore don't wear neckties.
Yeah.
Heck.
After listening to the last section there, what I was kind of thinking about as I was listening to that was other people that might be born in different cultures and they have different gods that they pray to and stuff like this. This is kind of suggesting that wherever your heart is, that's where you'll go when you die. So, if it's outside of like any of the Hindu gods and what they believe, would you go to the god that you believe in, or would you go to Krishna? And it said in there, like, for those who like worshipped materialism, they would become a deity, and which is kind of like a subsect under the gods or whatever. I don't know, like has powers or something like that.
It makes so much ridiculous sense. The whole thinking makes so much sense. Like in the sense of, okay, what are you doing when you engage in something, really? When you engage in something over and over and over, you're demonstrating love. You're demonstrating your sacrifice of your time, your thoughts, and your soul to that thing. Yeah. So if you're bowing for material idols, and then, of course, in your psychedelic, DMT was just released into your brain after you die, and now you're going through the portal that you become that thing. It's been your fixation your entire life. Which is why maybe if you dedicated your life to hell or dedicated your life to evil, you exercised love for that thing. There's some people that like live to torment others.
Yeah.
And so when that becomes the world you inhabit upon your deathbed, the only thing I hope is that, I feel bad for you can get sick of anything. Whatever you demonstrated love in all your life. I just hope that there's a way out if you're like, okay, I get it, I don't want any more. I hope that you can get out.
A time to move on.
And try something else.
Yeah.
A taste of truth is not enough. He wishes to know more and absorb himself in hearing about the reality of who Krishna is. He wants to know how he can recognize him in this world. Krishna has already stated different ways in which he is immanent in creation, and in the next few verses he enters further into a poetic discourse describing the different...
No, that deserves a pause again. Holy crap. Because, stop projecting outward and reflect that inwards. Think of how critical I am sometimes. I just go to a place of deep criticism. I don't want that. And so how could you be so that your afterlife is merciful and your afterlife is love?
Well, a big part of yourself also is that's what you want. So maybe that's what you'll find when you get there.
Oh, well, yeah, but, there are times where there's a war in between, right? There's warring selves. You get honest about the evil in you, and you get honest about the goodness in you. Yeah. And which one do you want to win? Do you want the good one that's love and hugs and peace to win? Or do you want the one that is a competitive and a battler and all this stuff to win?
Yeah.
Start piling up that scale of the thing you actually want. Not the fake thing you want. Not the thing somebody told you should want. Not the thing your trauma tells you should want. But the thing your heart actually wants. Yeah. How do you start adding pebbles to that?
I think that's what a lot of the practices of meditation, self-reflection, all that stuff, or introspection are all about, man. Going deep within and taking time to examine some of those things so that you can deal with it and be honest with yourself.
Hell yeah to that.
Or different ways he can be perceived. O Arjuna, of all forms of knowledge, I am knowledge of the Atman, and in debaters I am the ultimate conclusion. I am death who devours everyone. I am the origin of all things yet to be. Amongst feminine virtues, I am fame, good fortune, speech, memory, intelligence, endurance, and forgiveness. The overriding point is that any amazing, wondrous thing that exists in this world is just an infinitesimal fraction of who Krishna is. By describing his own glories, Krishna is expanding Arjuna's mind. The mind, as stated in chapter 7, is part of the material world.
I can't get over how much sense that makes. It's like not leaving me. Just think about it. Think about the ways in which we live projection lives.
Yeah.
Where we project everything outward. It's just like, I don't want to carry this pain. I'm going to project it everywhere outwards. But it affects you when you sleep at night. It's the images that visit you when you close your eyes. You watched a horror marathon and you're not going to think of horror when you go to bed? Yeah. That's why you speak gently. That's why you find the beauty in nature. Because, worst comes to worst, you got to make a swift decision fast. Where do you want to reside? A pleasant meadow, or a battlefield, or an operating room, or a courtroom?
Yeah.
Where do you really want to reside? What do you want to carry around in your heart?
Well, which brings back a good point that all of this is taking place on a battlefield. People dying.
That's true.
So, like, you know, like
Jeez.
that's you know, another thing to think about as all this information is.
There's whole cultures of violence. You think of the Vikings, and they're like, if you die in the battlefield, you go to Valhalla. Well, wait a sec. What is Valhalla? A giant battle. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But like, some people are so hardcore about their thing, but get quiet, get contrite, and get honest about what's going on. Because maybe you want it to be, you know, a party or something. I don't know.
It is stuck in duality where everything is in accordance with natural laws. But God doesn't conform to these laws. His presence breaks all ideas of logic and philosophical understanding. Little by little, Krishna is preparing Arjuna to behold the true reality that underpins this entire physical universe. After hearing these statements, Arjuna's longing increases. There comes a point when words are not enough. As a result, Arjuna asks if he can actually see this cosmic form which has been described. Krishna replies, "But you cannot see me in this way with your own eyes, and so I give you my divine vision. Now behold my glorious yoga." Our eyes are bound by this physical world, so Krishna, as an act of grace, gives spiritual eyes which can pierce the veil of material existence. Suddenly Arjuna beholds the truly shocking cosmic form of the Lord. Blazing like 1,000 suns, he sees within it endless heads and arms, the entire universe, heavens and other abodes. He sees all the demigods and rishis of the yajna. There is no beginning, middle or end. It is infinite in nature.
If you burst forth to the other side, I mean, I look at that and I'm like, whoa. You know, like I love a good epic movie and I'm like, whoa, you know. But if you burst forward and you see endless arms and faces and eyes, what would you be like, yay? Or would you be like, ah?
No, well, I probably imagine it like a lot of other holy books depict it when they like meet God, that there's like they become undone. I think there'd probably be a little bit of an undoing of oneself if you were
but imagine you
before, you know, the real deal.
Let's say, for instance, you fall asleep. You know, your family surrounds you, and you pass on. And they say bye bye. And then your eye open up your eyes, and there's a slight breeze. Mm-hmm. And then you get up and you walk down a path, and there's cherry blossoms going up towards the house, and you go in, and they're like, "It's okay, welcome to heaven." And it's a bright sunny day, and it's wonderful, and everybody's hugging. That's way different than you burst forth and it's, you know, like endless million head God. You know, there's a marked difference there.
Yeah.
And so obviously heaven's different for everybody. But if you're sitting there looking at pages upon pages your entire life of multi-headed things, you know, you made your bed.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, don't be so ignorant as to thinking I'm making some dumb point that you just forget or think I'm being offensive. I'm not being offensive. If that's your jam, Godspeed. But I'm saying, behold the power of what the message actually is here. So much of it is, what are you doing? Moment by moment. What are you talking about? What are you saying? How are you living? How loving precisely are you being? You know, because this is the world, your inner world that you're creating with that. So calm down, me.
Arjuna sees whole worlds being destroyed by gnashing teeth. All creation and souls are present within this one form of Krishna. But instead of enjoying the sight, Arjuna is trembling with fear at this awesome scene. Within this form, Arjuna also sees his enemies who are ready for battle being swallowed up and destroyed by Krishna. Confused and overcome with emotion, Arjuna asks Krishna who he really is. Krishna replies, "I am all-powerful time that brings destruction to the world. I am here to put an end to these worlds. Even without you, none of these warriors assembled in battle will survive." Essentially, Krishna is saying, I am life itself. Existence and the very movement of existence is all Krishna. Arjuna has been worried about engaging in battle because of the consequences. But Krishna has shown that the battle is already over. His enemies have already been slain. Whether Arjuna fights or not is irrelevant. Krishna has already accomplished everything. In response, Arjuna praises him and further apologizes. Deluded by Krishna's human appearance, Arjuna failed to understand the precious nature of what was in front of him. He asked for forgiveness for any lack of respect. He pleads with Krishna to take this form away which is so overwhelming and return back to his normal person. Now that the dust has settled, Arjuna wishes to know which is superior, the worship of Krishna with devotion as described, or the path of inquiry and introspection on the formless divinity. These two paths are referred to as the bhakti marga and the jnana marga. Krishna makes clear that both paths can reach him, but the path of devotion is easy and enjoyable. The path of knowledge, on the other hand, is fraught with difficulty and troubles. Bhakti is easy because it relies on divine grace. To those who are incessantly engaged with Krishna, he is the one who saves them from the ocean of birth and death. The way of knowledge relies on self-effort and is full of obstacles and challenges. A devotee, however, progresses with ease and rises above this maya. Krishna then describes in the following verse the qualities of such a devotee. He is equally disposed toward an enemy and a friend. He regards honour and contempt as the same. He has equal regard for heat and cold, and for joy and misery, and he has given up all attachment to the world. Fundamentally, a devotee is one who is beyond the sways of the world and equal in all situations. Such a person is dear to Krishna. Here we find, yet again, that God is not some faraway deity to be feared. He is intimate, close, and loving. With the revelation of the cosmic form and the teachings on devotion complete, the Gita enters a new phase in which Krishna begins to give a close, detailed understanding of how our true nature, the physical world, and God all fit together. He brings home to Arjuna the grounding wisdom which will allow us to live a fruitful and spiritual life.
So cool, man.
Yeah,
So
well, there you have it.
Stinking cool.
Part 2. Any last words on like that kind of like the double path? It was like, it seemed like the path of wisdom was like that's going to be the hard path. If you choose to like get down and start trying to figure things out, get ready for some struggles. And
well, there's a difference between struggles and challenges and all-out suffering. Yeah. So many times the answer is your resistance to something that makes it a suffering situation. Yeah. Like, think about playing, kids playing around, running around, sweating. They're, do you see that? I tagged that guy and blah, blah. Yeah. You go to just try to go get them to do a chore. It's how you're not even going to sweat that much. It's a nightmare. I hate this. Yeah. There's a difference between resisting what is before you and embracing it. So
part of me was thinking though that you might not even have a choice in what path you pick. You go down anyway, right?
Right. Who's the chooser here?
Yeah. Who's picking what path? But you know what? We're going to continue on. We're going to do a part 3. Hopefully you liked our part 2 here. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone, until next time, stay spiritual.